Flosstube, it's Jen from Jen's Stitching Niche. I'm back for my 6th video. I want to thank so many of you for subscribing and leaving positive comments and great questions. It has been so much fun going through all of the questions and reading all the nice comments and answering questions and sharing information. So thank you very much for being such a welcoming group of people. It's really fun. And you know, I know we say this every time, but if you're thinking of doing a Flosstube video and you haven't decided, just do it because it's really good. Everybody is so nice. My last Flosstube video was a little different. My friend Teresa Vanette came and spent the night with me, and we had a stitching slumber party, and we decided to make a Flosstube video. So if you haven't watched that one, you should go and watch it. It's actually kind of funny. She and I have both watched it multiple times because we think it's hilarious. And Teresa is the designer for Shakespeare's Peddler and Raise the Roof, and we actually talk about some of her designs, and hopefully she's going to post her first Flosstube video very soon. She's really excited. You guys have been really great motivating her, and she's, you know, maybe we'll see some designs from her pretty soon. So the point of today's video is to complete my whip parade. So if you haven't watched any of my other videos, I have a lot of whips. I have over 100 now, I think, and I have them organized into baskets, which I love to organize, so that's fun. And then I've gone through 2 baskets. So video 3 and video 4 are my first 2 baskets, and the point of today's video is to go through the last basket. There's a lot. There's a lot more than I realized. When I've recorded this video like 4 times and deleted it because it's not what I want it to be. So there's a lot of whips in this one. So it'll be interesting. There's some good ones too. So I've gone through it multiple times and I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to stitch on this one. So it'll be fun. One of the things I do want to share with you before I do the whips is some finishes, because someone asked if I ever finish anything if I have all of these whips, and I do. I mean, I have a trunk full of finishes that, I mean, I cross stitch all the time. I work full time, and then I live on a farm, so when I come home I do some farm stuff, but then in the evenings when I sit down with cross stitch. So I cross stitch whenever I'm just watching Flosstube, because that's about all I watch, except Sunday I'm going to watch Game of Thrones. But so I have a lot of finishes. This 100 whips is new for me. I usually would have maybe 20 whips, you know, lots of smalls and a few big ones. But back in August, thanks to Teresa, I decided I was going to start a new project each day so I could have them started and it would be easy to go and pull it and work on it. And then I've watched, you know, Katie the Stash Queen and her obsessive kind of organization that I just thought was beautiful. And so I copied that. And so what I do is I stitch on a project 3 days in a row, and then I move to the next one alphabetically. And every day I pull a random whip and work on that one for about 30 minutes. I plan to. I don't always get to stitch on both things. But that's kind of the way I work through things. And sometimes I finish a whip before it comes up in the rotation. I finish it when I pull it randomly. And so when time comes, I can stitch on whatever I want. So that has happened a lot over the past few weeks. So I've got quite a few finishes, considering how many different things I've been stitching on. So I'm going to share some of those with you. My first finish is one that I've been whining about, and I did finish. This is the alphabet sampler from Birds of a Feather. You can see it's on the Sparrow fabric, 32 count Sparrow fabric, and I just used limited edition Gentle Arts threads. So I will be happy. I am so happy that one is finished. Okay, I had to pause it because the phone rang and I didn't know if it was my parents or someone else, and of course it was someone else. My second finish was, where is it? A Birds of a Feather, no, a Blackbird Designs piece, and this is Home of the Brave, if I can hold it up. So this is an older pattern. I've shown it in one of my previous videos, but I stitched it on this 28 count gingham from Weeks Dye Works, and I actually used Gentle Arts wool thread, and it is so, I love this. I cannot wait to frame this. And this is what I actually stitched on the night Teresa came over for our stitching slumber party. And I finished it in 2 days. It didn't take that long. I mean, I had kind of this part done when the weekend began, and I just, stitched the rest of it. So it's really pretty. And my third finish was from RETM. This is the Quaker Pumpkin. This was in the Halloween Countdown Stitchy box, and originally it was stitched on a piece of purple fabric, and I stitched that and made it into a pincushion and sent it to a friend of mine, and then I decided to stitch it again for myself, and I'm really happy with this. So, and I posted this on Instagram, and they shared it on Stitchy Box. I was so excited. This is on 30 count gunmetal from Weeks Dye Works, and this is the silks that came with the it was a Fiberlicious silk that came in the countdown box, and then this is Weeping Willow from Classic Colorworks. So it was really easy, and when I finished, I did post it on Instagram myself, and Nicole from Buckeyed Stitcher made a comment, and I sent her the pattern, and she's gotten it, and I hope she stitches it. It's fun to stitch. It's a really fast stitch, so have fun with that, Nicole. And then my last finish is Honeyberry from Erica Michaels. So this is a piece of 28 count, just I think lamb's wool linen, and this is going to be finished as a berry. So if you've seen Erica Michaels, she has this series of berries, and when she releases them, she'll release a linen berry, and in the same theme there's a silk berry. So I've stitched this one, and I've got to finish it. I might do that this weekend. So today's Friday, the July 14th. So hopefully I can get some time this weekend to finish that. But I think it's really pretty. It's really cute. And this was I finished this last Sunday. And it was kind of interesting because last Friday and Saturday, my husband and I harvested honey for the first time from our beehives. And we got a lot of honey. We're selling it, and we're doing pretty well with the sale, so that makes me happy. We got almost a 5-gallon bucket full of honey from just 2 boxes. It was crazy. We also got stung by bees. I got stung 5 times, and my husband got stung 7 times, but we were stealing their honey, so it wasn't horrible, but the first one it just hurt so bad. My foot, it got me on my foot, and it was like we had not even pulled the first box. But after that, I guess you get used to it. But, oops, that's something else. Okay, so those are my finishes. So what I'm going to do now, I do have to make an announcement. So I did the drawing for the Halloween Jack sewing roll from Stacy Nash. And the winner was the Unstoppable Stitcher, so congratulations. I've contacted her, I've got her address, and I'm going to mail her chart. So there were about 20 people that left comments that were interested in the drawing. So congratulations, Unstoppable Stitcher. It's a fun stitch. It's all in black. You can do all kinds of interesting things with it, so you'll enjoy that. Plus, Stacy Nash's designs are great. All right, are y'all ready for the whip parade? So I'll tell you as much information as I can remember about some of my whips. I don't remember everything. I'm doing better about it, and I do have the X-Stitch app on my phone now, and I do keep better records of what I'm stitching, as well as better records of when I finish things. So, which eventually I'm going to have to do a video of my finishes. Not the framed ones, because I do have several framed ones. Well, I have a lot of framed ones, but I have a little chest that my mom gave me for Christmas one year, and it is packed full of finished projects. So I'll have to do that one day. But let's do the whips now, because this is, one craziness at a time. All right, so the first one up And this basket is a Lizzie Kate. And I'm stitching this for my older son. So I have two sons. One is has graduated from college. He's 22. And he is a really smart guy. He's very creative. He uses my craft room sometimes more than I do. And I'm just going to do this a little bit. And you can see the camera tripod there and all of this stuff. I don't know what he's doing, but all of that is a project, one of his movies. He does stop motion animation, and he is actually pretty good at it, and it's funny what he uses. He's very good at recycling, so I have him isolated to a corner now. Usually he has the whole craft room, but he's doing better about not making such a mess. But he doesn't believe he's as good as he is. He doesn't have the confidence, which is, you know, there's a lot of us that have that issue. So I'm stitching this for him. It's the Lizzie Kate Promise Me. And this is something he needs to remember. You know, I don't know if he'll hang it in his house because it is kind of, you know, not something a 22-year-old boy probably or young man would want in his house. But I hope he understands that we all think he's smarter than he realizes or that he thinks. Plus, he was a Winnie the Pooh kid. He watched all the Winnie the Pooh videos when he was a kid. But here's my progress. This is on 32 count flax, I believe. Either flax or just a basic linen. And like before, I'm just using, you know, I pull limited edition threads from my stash or from my collection. I'm trying not to call it stash anymore because it's my collection. And that's, you know, some of the colors I'm using. They're so pretty though, aren't they? That's North Dakota Cherry Jelly. And that one doesn't have a name. And this is Caramel Toffee Tea. So, all right, so that's the first one in the long lineup of basket 3. Next up is a project that Abby Bella Stitch has finished. And I think I can't remember if I was influenced by her to stitch this or if I had started stitching it and then was excited when I saw she was stitching it. But this is a Lottie Da Pumpkins 3. It's another one of those, you know, just using black thread. It calls for needlepoint silk, but I'm just using DMC. And I'm stitching it on dirty linen. And I thought it was a small count. And so I started with 1 thread, and that looks horrible. So I just restarted it using 2 threads. So that's how far I've gotten. But it's one of those, once you get into, I think once I get that border, the rest of it will probably go a lot quicker. And now this basket I have stitched very little on, so a lot of these projects are going to look like, you know, I've spent 30 minutes to an hour on, so some of them look really pitiful. Others I've gotten pretty far, so it just depends. I'm making my way through basket number 2, so I'll start working on these more in the next month or so. Next up is another Birds of a Feather. This is Red Reindeer. This is one of those that looks like it would be pretty easy. It's just an alphabet with the lowercase alphabet and a bunch of little motifs. And I'm stitching it on a piece of silk weaver, excuse me. I don't know. I think this picture this plus. Looks like 32 count, but that's my progress. So the colors are pretty. I'm going to stitch on this one pretty soon. My random number generator needs to, it's like gambling, I guess. It's like, come on, number 84. That's a pretty one. And that one was, Teresa stitched that one, and of course then I had to stitch it too. It's really pretty. Now this next one is a Mirabilia, and I have stitched several of hers, but like I said in other videos, I've actually sold many of the ones I've stitched. But this is the Royal Holiday or Christmas Queen. My husband actually bought this for me as a anniversary present. Probably on our 23rd wedding anniversary, and we've been married 26 years. And I've started it twice. I started it on the called for fabric, which is chestnut linen, and I didn't like that. And then I started on a piece of lamb's wool, and I didn't like that. And then I was watching Stephanie and Miss Oh So Crafty, which I love her videos. She is an amazing stitcher. And she stitched this on a green, and I loved it. So I copied her, and I'm stitching it on a piece of slate lakeside linen. And this is 32 count. And I've spent about an hour on that. So, but I think it's going to be beautiful. This kind of has that pine green look to it. So I think it's going to be a beautiful one. I hear my little puppy. I think my son just drove up. She's going to check on him. Next up is a Brenda Gervais. This is With Thy Needle and Thread, Samplers of the Season, Autumn. I have stitched the winter and the spring, and this is the autumn. And I love these. I love the little scenes, all the little animals, and I'm stitching them all in the same color linen. It's a 40 count light exemplar from Lakeside Linen, and I've gotten a good bit of this one done. It's a little over half completed, and I think my favorite part is the shape and the color of these leaves. So pretty. And I dropped the needle when it, I'll find it later. That's why I should use, I've got all those, where are they? All those needle minders, and I don't use them. Wouldn't have problems with them, the needles falling on the ground, if I'd used the things I bought. Next up is Samplers of the Season, Summer. So in the same series, on the same color fabric, this light exemplar. And that's my progress, which is pretty sad. But I only spent about 15 minutes on it. And that's what it will look like when it's finished. And so that leaf right there is the one I've stitched. But this one's so cute with all those sunflowers. I planted sunflowers in my garden this year, and they did really well compared to everything else that did not do well. And I'm waiting for them to get to the point where I can cut the flower heads off, and then we'll have sunflower seeds. So that's exciting. My sister-in-law, she usually has a garden, and this year she decided not to plant vegetables. She planted only flowers, and she has all these really pretty different color sunflowers. It was really pretty. Okay, now next up is, I want to move some of these because there's a lot in this basket. Next up is kind of a weird, not a weird, but an old whip. And this is the sampler book from Erica Michaels. Some of you may remember this. Back in 2006, 2007, Erica Michaels, in collaboration with Rainbow Gallery, did some freebies, and you collected the freebies. You could still get them on their website forever, and stitch them, and it made pages. So this is the pages in here that are all out of linen. And then you bought this finishing chart to make the cover and how to put those pages together. So I printed off all of the freebies, and then I ordered the finishing. And these are the pages. Oops. These are the pages. I finished all the pages. I just have to make the cover. So I'll just show you each one. A and B. C and D. And all of them are stitched on some 32 count linen or even weave. E and F using DMC. So I found a conversion, so I converted everything to DMC. G and H. I just love how pretty the stitch name is on the bottom. It's over 1. And I don't like to stitch over 1, but that wasn't too bad. J, oops, I know my alphabet. I and J. K and L. M and N, O and P, Q and R, S, which I love that little sheep. Those are spider web roses. It's really cute. And T. U and V. And then finally W and XYZ, which I like that one. And so I just need to, I've got a piece of black 32 count linen. I just need to finish the cover. So that's the front, and then you have the back. And then you make it into a little sampler book. So, I mean, it comes with the charts, but you have to print the freebies off to get something. What is it that's missing? For some reason. Oh, the specialty stitch is on the freebie chart, how to do that. But you could look that up as well. This chart, I was at the Stitching Post in Nashville going through all of their, just all kinds of filing cabinets full of charts. And she actually had 3 copies of this at $11 a piece. So if you are interested in this, you should contact the Stitching Post in Nashville before the end of August, because she closes in August. She's retiring. And you could get essentially the charts, and then you could, look up on Rainbow Gallery to see if the freebies are still there. And I'll check to see and put the link below if it's still available. But then you could make your own. It was a fun project. And I just need to finish that cover and be done with it. Okay, next up is another Birds of a Feather. I have quite a few Birds of a Feather. Oh, well, I know why. We have a listserv. This one is Santa Claus. We have a listserv at work where we can sell things that we don't want. And a young lady actually was quitting cross-stitching. She was way too young to be quitting cross-stitching. But anyway, and she had a whole bunch of Birds of a Feather. So it increased my collection. And this is my progress. Oh, Santa Claus needs to be upright. And I'm just stitching this on a piece of Picture This Plus. This is 32 count barnwood, I believe. So he looks kind of weird there, but it'll be cute once I get all the parts in. Okay, let's see. Next up is, now this one I've worked a lot on. I've been working on it for a few years since they first were released. This is an old, not an oldie, but it's old enough that it should be a shame that I haven't finished it. 2012 release. And we've all seen this. I think Courtney from Courtney ECR and Kay from Kay's Cross Stitch have stitched on it, and I think Courtney has finished it. Kay retired hers for a while. She got aggravated. But it's Santa's Village. And I've finished 8 of the 12 blocks. And I've got a good start on the 9th one there. There you go. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count silk weaver, and it's a solo die. It's an old one, and it's going to be so pretty when it's done. Doesn't that look like a nice wintry sky? Look how cute. I need to get this thing out and stitch on it. So sweet. All right. I probably started that in 2013, so years pass fast when you get older. It does not seem like it's been that long since I started that. All right, next up is, I have 2 Sleepy Hollow. 2 different designers came out with Sleepy Hollow designs, not at the same time, but I found them at the same time. And I was so excited when I found Teresa's shop. And these were two of the first things that I bought and kitted up. The first one is Cricket Collections Sleepy Hollow. It's stitched on that 30 count R&R Reproductions Blue Moon Java. And you could finish it as this 3 different pieces, but I didn't buy a big enough piece of fabric to do that, so I have to do it all on one piece. And what I mean is that there's a grain to this fabric, and if I tried to stitch it and kind of cut it out and make the little panels, you would have seen a difference. So I just want them all to look like one sky, and that's my progress. So it's one of those that you have to get through a certain point, and then it becomes fun to stitch. I did an exchange back in 2006, I think, and someone sent me just this part, and I finished it as a pin keep. It was really cute. So, but I can't wait to get that one done. Now, when that one comes up in the rotation, I doubt I'll finish it in 3 days. So it's one of those that I have to hope that I get a chance to extend the 3 days. But the one that comes right after it, is almost finished. It's another Sleepy Hollow. And this is from Raise the Roof. If you're interested, I have this chart in my shop. Jen's Stitching Niche, but it's the Sleepy Hollow sampler. And it's really cute with a headless horseman. I love that border. And you can see the different phases of the moon in each corner. So it says, it was the very witching time of night that Ichabod pursued his travels homeward. And I am so close to finishing this. I'm stitching it on 32 count wood smoke from Lakeside Linen. And I just have the headless horseman and then the ground underneath him. And I will have that finished. Isn't that cute? The colors are great. Love, love, love that. And that's a pretty fabric too. So when it comes up, whether it's random or it's 3 days, I will probably finish it in one night. And that gives me time the other 2 days to stitch on something else. So, okay. These little envelopes are getting out of hand. Okay, that looks better. Okay, next up is, this is Praiseworthy Stitches. And this is Simple Gifts Christmas. It's one of their Quaker pieces. And I've stitched on this maybe 2 hours, not very long. I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count sheep straw linen from R&R. And that's my progress. Really cute. And I've just used the green that's called for. It's moss. And this is funny because there was an error on the chart. And these ladies are just so kind of relaxed. They just marked it out and wrote it on there. But that was a lot to do to write all that by hand. So that's okay. They are funny ladies. Okay. Next is a Brooks Books. And I don't think I've ever finished one of hers. I think this one, no, I have. There's one that comes up later. This year, I think, is the first time I've ever stitched any of Brooks Books. And this one is the Spirit of Oz Santa. And as I've talked about before, my son was in the school play and he played the Tin Man. And so that's why I want to stitch this. Plus, I love Santa Clauses. I collect Santas. And this will be really cute in my Christmas collection. Oh, there it is. So here's my progress. That's a little bit of the balloon. And that's part of the Tin Man. So not a lot. But I have spent a lot of time collecting all of the materials that go with it. It takes a lot of materials. But I wanted to show you a couple of things that I had never seen until I bought this. So this is what is it called? Micro Ice Chenille. It's a peacock, and it's really pretty. So I'm excited about using that. Another thing I have never used is the petite facets. And I had a hard time finding this, so fortunately now I can order. But I've had to get this at market. And then the memory threads. I mean, we've been buying these at Hobby Lobby when they were on clearance. I have 2 colors that I still need to get. And I think I saw one and just didn't purchase it. Oh, Jennifer. But that's okay. I will figure something out. Eventually, I'll get to stitch on it. Okay. Now, in the last video, Teresa and I asked each other questions like, is there any chart that you wish you would have purchased? Is there any out of kind of date project that you want to stitch? You know, a lot of things that we stitched in the 80s, people are like, oh, that's so old-fashioned. Well, I do have one that is kind of considered old-fashioned, but I'm so excited about stitching this. I've been looking at this in Just Cross Stitch magazines for years, and finally last year decided I'm going to stitch it. So it is very different from everything else I stitch. It's the Splendor of Florals. It was a 12-part piece released in the 2009, 2010, I guess. Maybe it's just 2010. And it's huge. It takes water lilies to do that border. And I ordered a piece of fabric and the water lilies. Got all the water lilies that it said I would need. And I started stitching it. And I have 1 block completed and another one halfway done. So I've done the May. Can you see that? Yeah. Is that right side up? Yeah. And then half of June. And I think it's going to be so pretty. It is kind of old-fashioned, but that's okay. It's very pretty. I have a wall in my house that it will look nice on. This is just on 32 count cream linen. Well, can't get it to fold right, but, and fabric is so large I do have to use a Q-snap, which I normally just stitch in hand, and that's why it's easy to just transition from one project to the next. But this one I use a Q-snap because it is a big one. Did I say it's in this is the May, June, or is it 2010 Just Cross Stitch? Okay. I say that after each one, don't I? Next up is a design from Barbara Anna Designs. This one is one of her Halloween. I love her Halloween. And it is called Spooky Tree. And I have barely started this. So you've got the jack-o'-lantern and the skull and crossbones, the crow, the candy apple, I believe. No, that's not a candy apple. That's his top hat. And then a little candle with a spider. And so I'm stitching it on a piece of 32 count lamb's wool, and I just have the candle. Now what you see in the background was where I started the Halloween rules and didn't like it. So I'm just repurposing this, turned it over and started stitching on the other end. So it'll be cute. Next up is one of Jeanette Douglas's. If you watch my other videos, you know that I like her Stitches series. And this is Strawberry Stitches. And whenever I get one of these charts, I just buy the thread pack and just organize it and stitch away. So this I have worked on very little, but I'm working on a piece of Somerset 32 count Lugana from Silk Weaver, and I just started on the outer border. But her instructions are great because she tells you, first stitch the outer border, and then she'll stitch the, corners, and then you'll stitch this other border, and then you work your way into the center. But it's a lot easier, and it stitches up faster than you would think. Because it's not all cross stitch. It's some of those specialty stitches. So I've finished several of these and have them framed in my kitchen downstairs. The first time I recorded this video, I actually brought them up here and showed them off, but I got lazy. So eventually you'll see the finished ones. Next is they're sticking together. Next up is a design from Brenda Gervais. Here's the cover. And this is the Summer at Cherry Hill. And I think her alphabet is probably one of my favorites. I like the very clean alphabet. And the fact that the bee skip is on the side of the frame is really cute. And here's my progress. I'm stitching on either 36 or 40 count, something from Silk Weaver. So her designs are fun to stitch. She normally does not provide a DMC conversion, so you either have to look online to find one of the conversions. Stitches and Things has a conversion. Weeks Dye Works has a conversion to DMC as well. Or you can just match it up yourself, or if you don't want to use the overdyed threads. This is a Stacy Nash, and this is Summer at Hollyberry Farm, and I think this is gorgeous. Her Christmas at Hollyberry Farm was beautiful. I stitched that one. This one is amazing. That border is amazing, and even that tree right there is so cute. This little thing here is cute. I love the colors. The red is that Country Redwood from Gentle Arts. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count. I think this is just regular vintage exemplar from Lakeside Linens, but that's my progress. So isn't that border going to be beautiful? All those little clusters of berries. So cute. This was released in 2013. All right, next up is something as a pattern from Little House Needleworks, which I have stitched a lot of her patterns because she's very, symmetrical, which makes me happy. I haven't stitched a lot of her stuff lately, though. I just have too many other things, I guess. This is Summer Splendor. It's a small one, and I'm stitching it on a piece of either flax or lamb's wool, and that's my progress. This 32 count. So I'm almost halfway done. It won't take that long. This will be another one when it comes up for its third 3-day rotation. I'll probably finish it in a day and be able to use the extra time on other projects. Okay. Now this is a Not Forgotten Farm. She is a amazing prim designer, but her patterns they do not do the piece justice. When I looked at this, the yellow was kind of like, oh, that's kind of bright, but that's not the yellow that's not the right color because it prints strangely. But this is called Summerfield. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Summer Khaki. And that's my progress. So see that's the same yellow flowers, but it's a much more subdued prim look to it. I think that's going to be so pretty. All right, it's been by this time you normally would have seen several of Blackbird designs. I think this is the first one in this basket. So this is from the book, The Gift is Small, but I'm stitching this piece right here. And I think it's called The Peacock's Tail. And I'm stitching it on a piece of, I think this is 30 count kudzu from Weeks Dye Works. So I've just started the border. But again, it won't take that long to stitch that one. It's not a lot to it. I love peacocks. So I love birds in general. So you notice there's a lot of birds. We've named our farm. We call it the Purple Martin Orchard and Apiary because we're going to have fruit trees we're growing fruit trees and we have bees. And we have Purple Martin gourds in our backyard, and we've had so much fun watching the Purple Martins fight with bluebirds, but they've raised their little clutch of offspring or babies. And the other morning I went out and they were fledging. They were just, coming out of the gourds and all teaching their babies to fly. And they had a gorgeous young male. He was absolutely beautiful. And I got a couple of pictures, but my camera lens kept fogging over. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait till I get home and take more pictures. Well, I got home and it's just like silent out there. They're gone. I called my husband. He's been at a conference all week, and I'm like, I hate to tell you this, but all the Purple Martins are gone. He's like, oh no, did something happen? I said, no, they finished raising their offspring and they took off. So we're going to clean out the gourds and set up more next year. We want to just have all kinds of Purple Martins. It's one of my favorite birds. Next up is a Prairie Moon design. So this is one of those that people talk about that go for way too much online. I was fortunate enough to get this one when it first came out. It's Dinah's The Trick and the Treat. And I actually have the companion that's mine is The Trick and the Treat. And I'm going to stitch them both on this, picture this plus fabric. And I think this is Alchemy. I've got a page finished on it. But you can see I've got I can stitch both of these on here. Or both of the samplers on there. And I'm just stitching it with Gloriana silk, just in a black color. So it's going to be really pretty. I love this one, and it's slow going. It's one of those that it looks like, it's like, oh yeah, I'll whip that thing out in a week or two. But no, it takes some time. It's a lot of, I think what happens, it's not necessarily the stitching, but the stitching and the counting to make sure everything lines up. And then the frogging because you didn't count it correctly, but it's actually a fun stitch. Okay, this next one kind of has me in a quandary. I don't know what I'm going to do with this because I've stitched this one before. This is Christmas from Raise the Roof, and I actually stitched that model for Teresa when she first designed it, and I had a fun time stitching it. I think this was the first model stitching that I had completed for her. And I loved it. And then I said, well, I'm going to stitch it again for myself. And I started stitching it on a piece of old silk weaver. This is Castle View Opalescent Lugana. And Sherry Burkett has mentioned this before, that if you go and get some of your old silk weaver, you'll notice that it will have a kind of a bleached look along the line. So that's what I have, and I have that on each fold. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep stitching it or just chunk this thing. I mean, I could cut it and use this fabric for something else. That would that's plenty big for an ornament. And I've got another piece that I could do the same thing. So I don't know. This may be a give up, Jimmy Flosstube. We will see. And I don't know if I love it as much as I did. I mean, I stitched it once, so I don't know. We'll see. Okay, next up is 3 pumpkins from Prairie Grove Peddler. And this has a funny story. So I bought this at Silver Needle. We went to Silver Needle Summer Retreat twice. And both times I bought this pattern. Because they have models in their shop, and they had these models, and they were just gorgeous. And I bought the chart, and then I forgot about it, and went back and I bought the chart again. So my younger sister has it. And I have stitched 2 of the 3 pumpkins. I've stitched the small pumpkin. I just need to finish it up. Just do that. It's cute and easy. When I was at the retreat back in June, I finished the medium pumpkin. This is 30 count carrot from Weeks Dye Works. This is actually a Lugana from Silk Weaver. And then my last one, the large pumpkin, I'm going to stitch on this piece of fabric. And so I don't know what it is. It's just a scrap from my stash. So that's the next one will be stitched up. Oh, I'm leaving those out because I'm going to try to finish those. Hopefully this weekend, if everything goes according to plan, I'm going to do a bunch of finishing. I've got a little doll set that I'm supposed to make my niece. I told her I would make her, she's only 3, so what does she remember? But I told her I would make her these little doll sets each month, like a subscription box. And that was back in May, and so I owe her something for June and now July. So, all right, next up is a Brenda Gervais. This is one of those, I love these type. It's a little seam with the alphabet around it. It's called 3 Tulips. And I love bunny rabbits. Michelle Rudy, my husband says that I do not need rabbits. We need to talk to him some more. That is so cute. And this is on a piece of 40 count from Silk Weaver, and that's my progress. And I love the way, I know the alphabet is very subtle, but I like that. I like the fact that you have to look closely. It's almost like it's printed on the fabric instead of stitched. This makes me happy. I want to stitch this one. Brenda Gervais probably is my favorite designer. Besides Teresa. Teresa's my favorite designer, but I stitch a lot of Brenda Gervais. Next up is a French designer pattern. I don't know how to pronounce this. It is, I've had this for a while. It is a, it's supposed to be a book cover that you make, or a thread keeper. That's the name of the designer, Mon Ami Pierre. Haha, Southern accent, that's really bad. And this is the name, Trousseau. And so you stitch 2 parts. It's essentially 2 different samplers. And you make it into a book cover. And I have been stitching on it for a while. It's a piece of 40 count. This I think is exemplar. No, this is some kind of, what do you call it? R&R fabric. So I've got the front done, and I'm halfway with the finished with the back. And it's gentle arch threads, and it's fun to stitch. It's just, it's a lot of stitching. So this is how long I've been stitching on it. We went to this, see these numbers? When we were, we went to the retreat at Silver Needle. That would have been 2014. Yeah, 2014. We decided to number our patterns, and then we would, we had a little bucket with all the numbers, and we would pull a number, and whatever number we pulled, that's what we would have to stitch on for an hour. So that's how long I've been stitching on that one. Okay, next up is a design from Teresa. This is actually the Raise the Roof brand, and it's one of her clotheslines. So if you haven't seen her clothesline, she has a whole series of these clotheslines for different holidays, different seasons, and they're so silly and so, you know, just Teresa. So I am working on, I've done Santa's clothes, I've done Peter's cotton knits, and now I'm doing turkey dressing, and that's my progress. And this is just a piece of 32 count lamb's wool. But I want to stitch them all and then hang them in my laundry room. I think we all that are doing this say that. We're going to stitch them all and hang them in our laundry room. But right above my kind of work sink, I've got a nice big space that I could hang them. So, and my sister, Sharon, is stitching these as well. Have most of them in my shop if you're interested. Actually, I have most of Teresa's patterns, and when I sell out, I have a direct line to the designer, so I'll call her and say, hey, I need some more. So if you're looking for any of Teresa's, just let me know. Oops, I'm getting out of order. Okay, so here's another one of those charts. The Wee Beasties. Hard to find, but I found this at a brick and mortar shop last year. This is the Wee Beasties Part 3. It's the ladybugs. And I think I have another one of the ladybugs, 2 moths, and then 2 bees. So Stitching May, I know you collect these as well. Maybe let me know if you're interested in kind of helping each other out, because I would love to stitch all of these as well and hang them in my office at work. My background is in genetics, and I wasn't fortunate enough to have these beautiful things as my organism of research. I had worked with a housefly, so I like these guys are much prettier to look at. So that's my progress. However, the other day when I went out to I was going to work, there was a huge Hercules beetle, female, on our driveway right behind my truck. And when I say huge, she was 2 inches long. And my one of my nephews loves animals. And so his mother, my younger sister, is really sweet about letting him have all these pets. I mean, we all do that. And my older son had a lot of different weird pets, but he has right now 2 turtles, and then he has 2 of these Hercules beetles. He caught one, and then I gave him this other one. And I want to keep it, and I'm a biologist, and so what I told my sister is, like, when her name's Fred, apparently this beetle was named Fred. I said, when Fred kind of finishes her time, please give her back so I can pin her and put her in my office. And she's like, no one's ever asked me a question like that before, but she's a beautiful beetle. That's probably too much information to share with y'all. Okay, next up is another Blackbirds design. So this is from the In Friendship's Way book. I've stitched this and finished it, and this is the project I'm working on. This is Welcome Dear August, and I have finished the border. Just stitching it on a piece of 40 count. And I'm going to finish it on a box similar to this. So this is what the one down here, this is the finish. Oops. So I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought the box. Well, when I went the first time, they had 2 boxes, and I bought the big one. And then I came home and realized I needed the smaller one. So I just kept it, went back and bought the smaller one, and I'm going to mount this August, Welcome Dear August, on the same kind of box, just in the larger size. I think that'll be really pretty, and it will look really pretty downstairs in my living room. That stays up here in my craft room with all of my other crazies. Okay. Next up is a prairie schooler where there are bees, and I'm stitching all 3 pieces. So I'm doing the sampler and then the 2 small ornaments. I'm going to stitch them all on off-white 32 count linen. And so I've almost finished one of the ornaments. I love these colors. They're not colors I normally would choose, but I do love those. And then I barely started the sampler. So that'll be really cute. We're getting close to the end. Okay, this is a Barbara Anna Halloween piece. This is one of the keys. If you've seen her keys series, this is Wicked. So the little witch and her little familiars. And I have barely, I think this is a piece of platinum. I've got a portion of the key and one of the cats. So cute. Oh, you can't see the cat's head, the fold. I think that's flax, 32 count flax. I have a big piece of that I've been using. Okay, 114. Next up is one of the Ink Circles Halloween mandalas from Just Cross Stitch magazine. So it's wings and things, so you can barely, I don't have a good picture of it, but that's the center. It's out of the Halloween 2012, and I'm just stitching this on a piece of Lugana from Silk Weaver, and I'm using Silken Colors Firefly Nights. So I think it's going to be pretty. And again, you can buy these charts individually. They have released them as individual charts, but they're also in the, there's 4 different ones in the Halloween Just Cross Stitch issues. Okay. Another Brenda Gervais. I have a lot of hers, but I love her aesthetic. This is Witch Hazel Sampler. So it's an oldie. When was it published? Does it have it on here? I don't see the published date. Oh, 2011. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count Barn Owl from Birds of a Feather, and that's as far as I've gotten. So this is an old linen. I don't know if I'm going to do the little newsprint border. Probably not. But it's a nice one. And I actually have, I think, one copy of that chart still in my shop from the stock that I bought from Teresa. So, okay, here's another Brooks book. So I have finished one of hers, and I'm doing the Wonderland series, so you all probably have seen these. It's the 12 different pieces from the Wonderland. So there's the Mad Hatter, there's Alice. So I first bought the hard copies, and then I did the PDF. There's the White Queen, the gardener, he's so cute. Cheshire Cat, which my niece loves that. My 14-year-old, she's 14 years old, loves the Cheshire Cat. I told her I would stitch it twice, once for my series and once for her. There's the Queen of Hearts, the White Rabbit, the Dormouse. So my son was in the play, and he was the Mad Hatter, and his friend Paige was the Dormouse. She was phenomenal. I did not realize the girl could act so well. She did such a good job. The March Hare, the Caterpillar. He's so cute. Looks like some character from SpongeBob SquarePants. And I know Michelle from Bendy Stitchy said she hates SpongeBob SquarePants. I understand. It's weird. But when I first saw that show back in the day, I'm like, that was produced by a biologist. That whoever came up with it, because there were too many things biologically accurate in the first stuff with the nematodes and all this other stuff. I know there's a lot of inaccuracies, but there was a lot of kind of jokey things that biologists do. And it was originated by a biologist, a marine biologist, but it went weird very quickly. The Duchess and the Tweedles. So those are 12, and some people are stitching them all together. I couldn't get a big enough piece of fabric for that, so I'm stitching them individually on 2 different colors fabric. And they're both 28 count, no, 32 count Lugana from Silk Weaver. So I finished the Mad Hatter. And I'm almost finished with Alice. So, not too bad. She looks really pretty, especially once I get some back stitching. And then the other piece that I'm using is this Silk Weaver. This is Everglade. Oh, it's 28 count. It's not 32. It's 28 count Everglade. So this is some from my old stash. Actually, it's from my sister, and I traded some fabric. So she gave me I think she gave me the blue fabric, and I had the green. Okay, let's see. I've got some things in here that I have not started, so there are things that I want to start. So the last in the original 120 whips is the Wordplay series by Brenda Gervais. So I have to stitch the December, the August, and September. And I've stitched all the other ones. And this is my progress on December. So I have this huge piece of R&R ABC Darien linen left over because I bought I think a full yard to do this, and I didn't need all of that. So I'm going to show you some of them that are finished. I don't have all of the other ones because one of them's in some of my decorations. So if you'll just hold on 1 second, I will get the rest of them. Oops. You can see I was wearing shorts. So this is January, and I just frayed the edges. I have it, I ironed on some interfacing, and then I'm just attaching it to pieces of wool. And I know that's kind of raggedy. I need to correct that. Here's February, March, April, and then these I haven't completely finished. So this is May. I just need to put it on a piece of wool. And then this is June. So I still have to iron on the interfacing and fray it and put it on its wool. Let's see. This is July. I like that one. I've got to stitch August and September. This is October, which I love this one. And then November I finished. It was one of the first ones I finished, and it is actually my Thanksgiving decorations in the attic. And then December, so I'll have them all done. I can't get these anymore, but I did see them at, what was it? Shepherd's Bush. When I went to Salt Lake City, I went up to Ogden, and they had multiple copies of this, so you might contact them and if you're interested in this series, because they had, and I checked, they had all 12 of them when I was there. So if you're looking for those are available at some shops. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. So I do have a few others that have started this year. And I have shown these. These are starts mainly from Stitch Mania. So they're not in alphabetical order. They're just put at the end. So this is Bird's Eye View from Kathy Barrick. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count Silk Weaver. And it's going to be so cute. It's so tiny. The whole thing will fit on this little piece with plenty of framing room. Another Stitch Mania start was Sampler Sisters of the Thread from the Primitive Needle. And this is my most pathetic start. Teresa, this is for you. She makes fun of me and my small starts. But this is on a piece of 40 count pear from Lakeside Linen. Another Mania start this year was Lake Julia's Bees from Just Cross Stitch Magazine, April 2008. And that's as far as I got. But it's just one day of stitching. I actually found that because of Michelle from Bendy Stitchy. Vintage Eggs from Prairie Schooler. And I've started the Rooster. Halloween at Hollyberry Farm, so the Stacy Nash series that I showed you the Christmas one earlier. And this is on cedar plank from Lakeside Linen. I love this. I didn't think of this. This actually came from Evergreen Needle. She suggested it, and I'm like, I've got that fabric. So thank you. That was a brilliant idea. And then let's see, what's the name? This is a House of Barry Chapel's Hill, Barry's Chapel Road, excuse me, Miss Baxter's house. And this is just on a piece of 32 count flax. Where is it? Okay, there it is. And I've just got a little tiny star. And I like that. I think the colors are great. Another Mania start was Button Button from Brenda Gervais. And I know I've talked about this before because I talked about stitching with the Valdani threads. That's my progress. And this is a piece of vintage exemplar, I think, from Lakeside Linen. 32 count. Another Brenda Gervais, Madame Cottontail. And this is as far as I've gotten. This is from 40 count Birch Zweigart from Stitchy Box. See? I just have her little shoulder. And the very last one of my whip parade is Brenda Gervais. Imagine, it's 3 Black-Eyed Susans. So another one of hers with the alphabet sprinkled around it. My favorite way to stitch. And this is a piece of, I think this is 40 count Cocoa from Weeks Dye Works. And that's as far as I've gotten. But I love this. I'm going to have to stitch these. Again, that whole gamble of me doing the random number. Come on, number. Well, this doesn't even have a number on it. So how am I going to choose that one? I'll add a number to it. All right, so that is my whip parade. So those of you who have stuck with me through these 3 videos, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed seeing all of the crazy. I like stitching. I like starting things. I had all of this in my closet. I didn't go and buy these to start them. I've just been collecting charts for longer than I needed to, I guess. And so I'm trying to get some of these things, just start them and see if I really like them. And if I don't, then I can pass it on to somebody else. Thank you to everyone that has been leaving comments. I've had a lot of people come to my shop on Etsy because of the Flosstube videos and left nice comments. Again, it's so exciting to hear from different people. I've gotten a lot of new followers on Instagram. I actually was sitting in my office talking to a student. We were going over some stuff for genetics, and my phone was bleep, 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 and I'm like, what is going on? And I said, I've got all these new followers on Instagram, and one of the guys is like, you got a shout out. I'm like, you think so? And sure enough, I think it was Emily C. from Eclectic Possessions had posted something. I had sent her a note about something, and she had posted something about that. So thank you, Emily C. And thank you for all of the people who've given shout outs. I was watching several people last night, and they mentioned the video that Teresa and I were interviewing each other. Joe Gregoire, if I pronounced your name right, has given me a shout out. Several people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you are considering making a video, just go ahead and do it. It's fun. People are going to be nice to you. If they're not, just ignore them. It does not matter. So, most everybody's going to give you a thumbs up. The comments, some people, I watch the YouTube on my television, so sometimes it's hard for me to comment. So a lot of you probably have never, or, haven't seen any comments. I watch everyone's videos. And when people started talking about the importance of comments, I'm like, that's correct. I like the comments too. So now I keep my cell phone next to me and make comments as I view things. So, but it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. So if you're thinking about it, you should do it. So, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I think I'm going to start doing like Coffee Stitcher and make a list of all the questions, and then I kind of address those in a weekly or every 2-week video now that I've gone through my whips. And we can see, I'll start looking at, what's the progress of what I'm currently stitching. I still have a lot of stuff to share because I want to show you my little crate of finishes. So just let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk about, and I will see you soon. Thank you.